So here we have New York Fashion Week that has just completed, and the one that stuck out for me, one of the catwalks that stuck out for me was the Collina Strada. Not necessarily the clothes themselves, but the process in which that they were created with, which was using generative AI. And you may be wondering what that actually is literally just using artificial intelligence to be able to create new designs. Now, I know it may be controversial when it's using AI for new designs, but in this case, actually, the brand used their own previous designs and then churning out new designs for this collection. I'm just going to show you obviously what it could have potentially looked like behind the scenes to create this collection using generative AI. Firstly, you would have all of their images from all of their previous looks, and then they would put that in this folder or their machine system, whichever platform that they used in order to have the artificial intelligence. And then they would have some prompts as to, okay, what do they want to focus on? A skirt, trouser, whatever it might be. And then they describe things or have prompts in the description in order to understand what would they like to create from this. And then from there, they press launch, and then they get this whole field of ideas of what the designs could be. So now these new designs can then be used as images for their website, or in this case, templates for what now they have as their collection. Now, it sounds pretty straightforward, but actually there was a lot of back and forth as described by Hilary herself, the designer, in her interview, who said that it took actually 7 weeks to get this whole thing completed. And well, just the design element and obviously machine learning, it does take a lot of time, but I do give them props for actually doing that. So let's go into a little bit of the benefits and the disadvantages of using generative AI. As I know, it is really kind of a hot topic at the moment where people are really concerned actually that this AI thing that everyone keeps talking about can take everyone's jobs, which there is some truth to that. However, I do think that there are some benefits. So one of them, specifically when we're talking about it in this scenario with a fashion brand, is that you save a lot of time. Maybe you had a designer's block and then you just didn't want to just sit there scratching your head trying to figure out new designs from scratch. But in this case, actually, they revisited what they already had, which is also true to themselves. Because a lot of people, again, there's some controversy about the idea of, just ripping off other artists online and then creating new designs from actually what is owned by other artists. So in this case, actually, I think it's perfect that you are working with what is already yours. So it's already their own designs that they've just kind of reconfigured or redesigned. If they already had a starting point from whatever was produced in the first round of the designs, then fantastic. The other thing that's really advantageous is that they got to keep their own brand identity. And in this case, they were able to keep a lot of their staple items or their staple designs. They do have a lot of that edginess that they do a lot in their looks, which they were able to keep. Now, not to say that the AI produced all of that. We will never know until they do reveal the full process to us. Now, if we look at the cons, there are a few. One of them really is to do with the fact that this is not really a streamlined process. As you know, obviously, with the, going here and there and kind of revisiting what was started off and having to redraft the prompts or the description of what they would like in order to actually get their desired results does take a lot of work. One of the other issues that Hilary did also mention in the interview was that it does take a lot of wrestling now when it comes to what is realistic in the designs that have been produced by the AI and then what can actually be produced in real life. These designs they're going to be more extravagant than what you may see every day in the store, of course, and all this stuff, and by the brand themselves. So now the brand has to figure out how they're going to translate this extravagant piece of design to now a real life garment, where they have to worry about how they're going to translate this into a sewing pattern and then actually which fabrics they're going to get and then produce it and make it a real thing. So I can imagine that a lot of the editing was then done around there as well. just because of what's realistic and what's not. And I think maybe one day what could be interesting is seeing AI go a little bit further, especially for fashion, where it can already connect these dots together. A lot of people have questioned whether this is really design or not. I just think really it depends on which scenario you're using this in. So in this case, from what they've said, and what the brand is all about and what they're doing and what they bring to the catwalk, it was really all about just using technology at an advantage to come up with something that they may have not actually thought of before in terms of the designs, and in which case they did actually also say that in one of the interviews. So in this case, I would say the computer is actually the designer and not necessarily the brand, but where the brand still has their design title is where they now are refining things. And I'm sure they did add a lot of things, took away a lot of things. I really do think it depends on the scenario. And I think in this case, it was used very wisely and very well. Well, let me know what you guys think. What else should I report about or talk about? Have you noticed anything or have some questions about certain innovation that's happening? Well, put it all in the comments and I shall see you for the next innovation feed.